Good morning and welcome to the October 9th Council on Aging Board of Directors meeting. It's Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. The board adheres to the open meetings law and Robert's Rules of Order. The meetings are streamed by the Town of Shrewsbury Cable and may also be found through the town website, which you probably know if you're watching this somehow. I'm Alex Roman, Chair of the Board. Council of Aging staff in attendance are Holly Luke, Director, Casey Bogan, Assistant Director, and Renee D'Argento, Outreach Coordinator. Council on Aging Board members in attendance. Minu, if you'll introduce yourself first.
Minu Sharma.
Good morning, Larry Mayon.
Bruce Gala.
Rachel Kleiman-Wexler.
Okay. And we have a representative from the Friends group, the Friends of the Shrewsbury Senior Center, Louise. Thanks, Louise, for coming.
We're going to do September minutes.
September minutes. We need a motion to approve
So moved.
or corrections. if
I'll
any.
motion to accept the minutes as are. I didn't see any changes.
We have a motion and the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Friends representative, Louise. Good morning.
Good morning, I'm Louise Russell from the Friends. Maria could not be with us this morning, so I'm happy to represent her and the Friends group as well. I wanted a few notes that she gave me, so some figures and things. As of the end of September, the Friends had 213 members. We had 23 new members this year, which we're very proud of. And it looks like the Friends' new visibility. We have a new telephone number, we have an email address, and a website. And so it's definitely helping to get the word out about the Friends and what we do and who we are, and people want to reach us for questions. So we're very happy that that has really been a successful program for us to do. Upcoming programs, in November, we're going to be doing, first of all, November 5th is our annual monthly board meeting. And everybody is invited to come and be a participant and add any things that you'd like to talk about. Our November program is going to be a patriotic veterans support, honoring them. We're going to have a guest speaker, a veteran, Nancy Collins, as well as we're going to have the Hit the Bus Band who's going to play patriotic music for us in November.
I'm sorry, Louise, what's the date of that?
November 18th, November 18th at 1 o'clock at the Senior Center. In October, we're doing a Spooktacular Halloween Bingo, which is always a favorite. Everyone loves bingo. That's the third Monday in October, which is 10 days from now. So if you can wear a costume and maybe win a prize. If not, it's just a fun afternoon for everyone to come. In the Patriotic in November, we're encouraging people to bring food donations for the food pantry. And either that or for the refrigerator, the community refrigerator outside. So we hope that everybody will bring something that day to donate to the good cause. They continue to work on donations for the sensory garden, trying to brainstorm new ideas to get more donations. So if you have any ideas for us, we would be more than receptive to think about it, work with you to help us to get more donations for that, so that can be a successful program. At this point, that's about, we do a lot of incidental kinds of things, but those are the major things coming up that other people can be involved in as well as the Friends. So if you have any questions or comments, I'd be
I do have one.
I'm just curious, would the Friends ever consider hosting another prom? It seems to come to over my computer a lot. A lot of people have been requesting the proms that I guess used to happen
Oh, the
prior to
senior- the senior
COVID.
prom?
Yeah,
Oh, that was so much fun.
yeah. So I wasn't sure if that was something maybe the Friends would consider hosting, maybe in the spring.
That might be, yes, that's a good idea.
Because we would certainly like to collaborate with you to, I think, to make that happen. Because like I said, a lot of people seem to be talking about it more. And now that I think we're clear of COVID and any of those things happening, I think it would be a good opportunity. And the spring is when everybody's prom happens,
Yeah,
so
it
we
was
could do it at
very
the same time.
successful. We had two of them, I think, before.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had COVID, of course, and that stopped most everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it has not gotten back. Thank you for the idea. I think it's a great idea.
Yep,
A
because
lot of fun.
Yep, and my thought would be to do it on a Tuesday where we're open later already. So maybe this is something that we can collaborate over the winter months.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
welcome.
Holly.
Thanks, Louise, and thanks to the Friends for all their efforts in support of the Senior Center and Council on Aging.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to Director's Report, we're going to jump a little bit ahead in the agenda to free Renee up after she does an outreach report.
Hi, Renee D'Argento. Good morning. So I'll start off in talking about the food pantry, the Senior Center Food Pantry, which people should know is separate from the community fridge that's outside that the Rotary runs. So we take donations. We're also looking for volunteers to take visitors through the food pantry to, once a week when they come in and get some, supplies for their household. And currently, we have at least 52 households that are signed up. Not everyone comes every week, but a typical week may be anywhere from 15 to 25 visitors. And we have plenty of, fruits and vegetables for people to take. And, but our pantry supplies are a little bit low at times. The Council on Aging has been supplementing some of that as well. And I think we're planning to get the word out a little bit more, with businesses and things like that. And, also planning for the near future when our partners who are supplying the local fruits and vegetables by the end of December, that will go away as the winter comes, and so we've got to look for another avenue for things like that. Right now, we're looking for volunteers who can.
Excuse me, Renee, if I can interrupt.
Sure.
I have a friend who's involved with the food pantry down in, I think Taunton, Attleboro, down in towards the canal there.
Yeah.
They had to rent a small warehouse, and they've staffed up with one person, I think maybe a paid staff and a couple volunteers, and they're overwhelmed with the
Yeah.
demand for it. So I've talked to Holly about projecting this in our staffing going forward, but it'll probably need to be through volunteers. But
Yeah, and actually, we do have some limitations. We have space limitations, and we also have limitations in the hours we're open for appointments, which are Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the hour after we open for business and the hour we close for business is when we're open. So if you were to say that you have 2 appointments each half hour, that's about 70 appointments a week. Now that, you could probably fit some more in there if you had enough, volunteers to be able to take people through. I've had to more than supplement those visitations until we get more volunteers. So I'm not able to get as many appointments through. And also the demand is not as such yet to have that kind of traffic. So, yeah, as we say, it's a work in progress. When we started it, we didn't realize how much staff time it was going to take. So I'm spending about 60% of my staff time on this project. Yeah. So that's why I'm looking to get more volunteers and get some relief. Yeah.
Larry?
Renee, has there ever been a reach out to the Boys or Girl Scouts in this town?
So I haven't reached out to anyone really because I haven't had time to do that. And you know, managing the food pantry and actually doing a lot of the work myself. But that's something that we would like to do and we will do in the near future as we staff up our volunteers.
Right, I can help you in that regard.
Okay.
And if I can just add, Select Board Member Michelle Conlon actually shared some contact information with the Boy Scouts and the Scouts. Is Boy Scouts and what's the other one?
Cub Scouts?
Cub Scouts. Yep. So she did share with me like 7 different contacts a couple of weeks ago, and I just haven't had time yet to reach out to them.
Well, once again, I have been a Cub Scout leader and a troop leader, and so I have some contacts as well. I'll be glad to help in that regard.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, thank you.
Raquel?
The Yahoo kids?
That's a separate program.
I know.
Yep.
But would they be,
So we're going to talk we're going to talk about that as we get on with the agenda.
Yeah, I do. I actually met one of the people who does Meals on Wheels weekly. His son is looking for a volunteer opportunity, so I actually met with someone last night to talk to them about, you know, about that, about expectations, and we're waiting to see whether the young man will volunteer weekly or every other week or something like that. So yeah.
What is the process if someone wants to volunteer?
I'm sorry?
What is the process if someone wants to volunteer?
Just fill out a query form. For yourself, you would already be queried because you're on the.
I'm thinking of other
Yeah,
people that
okay.
might, would they be contacting you?
Yep,
or-
contacting me, start the process. Then I can talk to them about you know, the policies and take them through the pantry, and then see, you know, talk to them about the hours that we have of need, that kind of thing. So, also, you know, fuel assistance has started up with the applications. The recertifications have already gone out in the past, like, month to 2 months to people who already applied last year. And I have a lot of people calling, asking for new applications. And SMOC will start reviewing them in November. People should know that if they have any kind of a heat emergency, they have no heat, they're having issues with their heating system, if they're already applying for SMOC, they may be eligible to have their heating system either repaired or replaced. Also, there have been a number of people last year, and I have one this year, with oil tank leaks. They will, if you're a fuel assistance client, they will replace your oil tank, and at either no cost or nominal cost, depending on your income level. So in that case, if something happens before they start reviewing in November, we can expedite the application and get people going. The Share the Warmth applications are available. That's the CELCO program that can help pay for some of the your electric utility starting in the spring. These deadlines are March 1st for Share the Warmth and April 30th for the SMOC applications. Medicare open enrollment's going on right now, October 15th to December 7th, and we have several Medicare programs coming up. We have the typical, insurers like Blue Cross Blue Shield coming in and doing monthly programs. And also we have our Larry Mayone, our own board member, who October 16th, 12:30 to 2:30 is going to talk about the changes to the Medicare benefits for 2025. That'll be a really great program for people to, understand how the changes in their insurance will impact them. And then we're going to also, there's a couple of series that we're going to be kicking off. One is a series of seminars on legal, financial, and health benefits and how that might affect your estate planning, your future as far as, you know, whether you want to stay in your home, whether you want to sell it, take out a reverse mortgage, all of those things that people start thinking about, you know, planning as a lot of times their kids leave the household and they're in this big house and they're paying high property taxes that they can no longer afford, that sort of stuff. And aging in place can become an issue as well, as, you know, people have, you know, need more care at home and making those decisions. So that's going to start November 20th from 2:30 to 4. We're going to have people to talk about housing and legal, an attorney to talk
What's the
about
date?
legal issues. I'm sorry?
What's the date on that?
20th.
That's November 20th,
Okay.
2:30 to 4. And of course, they'll be in the November
Yeah.
newsletter. And then also starting in November, we're going to start a series of fraud and scam education. So we have a contractor who is one of our small home repair volunteers, and he's going to actually do a program focusing on contractor scams. And that's going to be November 18th from 1 to 2:30. And in the following months, we're going to have a couple of other people talk about different kinds of scams that people need to watch out for and how to avoid them. So that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any other questions?
Okay,
All right.
thanks, Larry, for your part in that, and thank you for all you're doing. I'm glad you found a way to fill up your free time with the food pantry.
Free time.
Free time.
All right,
Well,
thank you
Thank you,
very
I
Renee.
much.
assume that's evenings and weekends, and anyway, thanks for all you do,
All
appreciate it.
right. Thank you. I'm going to take my leave now. All
Okay,
right. Bye now.
let's go back up to item number 5. Have a good day, Renee, thanks. Vice Chair vacancy, we have had a vacancy in the treasured vice chair slot for a few months now.
I would like to nominate Lawrence Mayon for this
Okay.
open position
Is there a second?
of the vice.
Second.
Any discussion? You don't have to make a long speech or anything. You can pass on.
No, I'm going out, you know, and it's a vacancy that exists, and I have the ability to do it, so glad to.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you, Larry.
You bring a great skill set too, so thank you. All right, we need to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I think that's everybody
Congratulations.
accounted for. Thank you. All right,
And now I'm going to go to financial.
now we're moving to number 4, review and act on financial reports, which were sent to you, and there's one you wanted us to start with.
Yep, so if everyone can open up the COA financial plan for the Massachusetts Formula Grant, we're going to start with that. So we talked about this a little bit last month, but now that I have Casey with me, it makes it a little easier to kind of go over this. So we're just going to take our time. One of the reasons that we're talking about the formula grant is because each year, well, this year we received over $120,000 from the state. That is to be used for senior purposes, and again, a senior is anybody that's 60 plus. So I've been working periodically with Assistant Town Manager of Finances, David Snowden, and he thought it would be a good opportunity for me to consider taking some time to breaking down the formula grant moving forward for the next for the 5-year projection into the 4 categories that I usually introduce the COA department as, and those are outreach, nutrition, transportation, and programs. So we'll follow along with this document, and if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me along the way. So the first thing that you notice on this document is the graph, and basically what it's showing you is the attendance over at the senior center. And the obvious one, you know, to look at would be the yellow one where it dipped in 2020. But as our years are going by, we are increasingly having more attendance over at the senior center, which I think is really important for the formula grant, because these are how all of the services that we offer continue to grow. So if you just scroll down a little bit to the assessment of the current financial status. So what this talks about is where are our revenue streams coming in? What does the COA department use? So the current funding from the formula grant. So the FY25 is $14 a person from the COA formula grant, and it follows the 2020 census. The salaries right now for the 2 part-time staff are the only salaries to be paid out of the formula grant. That'll happen up through this December. Then the senior center, as I mentioned before, the outreach programs that we have. So the ones that habitually happen, the Memory Cafe, the Veterans Luncheon, Volunteer Appreciation, and now the Tuesday dinners. And those just continue to grow. So, but those are the ones that happen on a monthly basis, or actually an annual basis. Now we have some more operational costs, as Renee mentioned before. We have the food pantry. We have appliances that sometimes need either maintenance or to be repurchased. The My Senior Center hoop board, the communication tool that we just purchased, the program materials, and any broken furniture that might happen along the way throughout the senior center, including the office area. So our additional revenue sources, as you know, they are the general fund, the gift account, the state grants when applicable. So those are in addition to the formula grant. Any federal grants, those could be the Mass DOT federal grants that we have. And then, so it says evaluate expenses. So that link brings you to the financial spreadsheet, which we'll review again in a few minutes. So if we can keep scrolling down. So what I did was a projection, right? So to identify long-term needs. We went all the way back to 2017, so you could see how many people are in the town of Shrewsbury and how there's just a steady growth. So then, in also talking about identifying long-term needs are the facility and the infrastructure needs of the senior center, the dementia-friendly needs. So within the inside of the senior center and out being like even the painting that we did, making signs, making them visible. Hopefully one day down, not the too far future, would be redesigning the parking lot over at the senior center. Equipment maintenance and replacement, so that could be, again, the appliances or lobby computers or our audio AV system. Then we continue to program and service expansion, so increase outreach services to expand the senior center, so that includes health and wellness programs, transportation, technology training, and stakeholder events. As we scroll down, we can now come to staffing needs. So you can see how in 2020, what the staffing was then, where it is now in 2024, it really hasn't changed all that much. So when I meet with the town manager's office, again, each department has asked for a 5-year staffing projection, and I think it's important to see where we've been over the last few years, considering and compare it to where we are now, and that's where the growth is so important, to make sure that the formula grant is being used to the best of its ability, but at the same time we keep the communication with the town manager's office open so they understand where our needs are coming from. Any questions so far before I keep going? Okay. So number 3, financial projections. So we can see that for the state formula grant, it was at $12 in 2022-23. It went up to $14 for fiscal year 24 and 25. I did mention that there is a possible increase this year. I haven't heard any more other than what I had shared with you a couple of months ago, but that would go up to $15. So the expense projections for the formula grant, those would include, well, what they currently include, staff salaries, benefits for some of our programs, our program costs, and again, new equipment. So I won't read this whole paragraph here, but it talks about the steady attendance that the senior center has gone through over the last 4 years, almost 5 years since I've been here. If you scroll down to the next page, you can see the graph.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
How, are we back to where we were pre-COVID or above?
So I don't have a lot of statistics prior to pre-COVID through the My Senior Center. It doesn't seem, it's only been, I think, in the last 4 or 5 years that we've been really utilizing the program to the best of its ability. I have heard that the people that come and some of our staff that's been there for the longer periods of time, like Donna, Pat, and Cynthia, have definitely seen an increase in the use of the senior center and those that attend.
Can I just jump in?
Yeah.
We do have a graph for FY7. This graph starts at FY17 to FY18. So if you look at those numbers compared to FY24, we are well above what we were. So this is FY24 here, this darker orange, and this is FY20, FY20, or FY19, FY18, FY17. So we're well above. We're about 10 people per day more than we were before COVID.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So scrolling down to budget development, you know, I just lost mine. So as we mentioned before, talking with the town manager's office and really trying to figure out how to best utilize the formula grant moving forward. And those are breaking them simply down into the 4 categories that I'll just mention one more time. It's the outreach, nutrition, transportation, and the programs. So the risk management, just like every business, there are risk managements. So non-essential program frequencies, social events, you know, reducing or eliminating the ones that don't attract a lot of attention. Shared resources with other departments, prioritize planning essentials versus non-essential, the diversification of revenue streams. So Friends of the Shrewsbury Senior Center fundraising is an important one. Emergency funding from the gift account that we receive donations with, from the community. And then any other grants that any one of my staff would apply for and receive. Then we talk about the revolving account. The revolving account right now is for the maintenance of the 2 COA town vehicles. We no longer take any salaries out of the revolving account. Right now, we rely on the Shrewsbury Housing Authority donations that come in annually that keep the revenue with a balance in our revolving account. Monitoring, we'll move down to number 6, monitoring and evaluation. So the annual financial plan, as we know, each year, each department is expected to submit a financial plan for their department. We include performance metrics at each finance committee meeting. And then we also utilize engagements and feedbacks and surveys, which we'll talk a little bit about later on in this agenda meeting. Do you have a question?
Yes. Under performance metrics, which are important to any board and certainly to the people running all these programs, the program satisfaction, how do you measure that? Do you survey?
So we do surveys, but program satisfaction, we also take by the attendance. So we'll compare attendance. So when we give you those graphs every single month, that's a good way for us to monitor whether or not the programs are where we want them to be. In some cases, we'll talk to the facilitators because we need them to help share the information too, and the biggest one is to utilize the My Senior Center software so we can capture those. Because each facilitator that comes into the senior center that helps run a program is told by us that if we're not seeing the numbers within the My Senior Center, if people are not using it, there is a chance that those programs could be eliminated. So we try to make sure that we're all on the same page and keep an open communication with everybody that comes into the senior center. So moving on to number 8, sustainability and growth, exploring more partnerships. I'm constantly working with my team. Oop, did I miss one?
7 is out. Oh, there's 6, 8.
Sorry about that. one of the, sorry about that. So we're gonna skip 7, you know. Nobody likes 7.
I always use the auto number feature.
Well, you would have thought that I did too. The sustainability and growth, so exploring partnerships. So one of the things that I always discuss with my teams is making sure that we include partnerships wherever we can, because that's another opportunity for us to have more revenue to come in, and collaborations to reduce the expenses. Innovation and efficiency, so continuously seeking innovative ways to deliver services more efficiently. One of those is I have just, in the past few years, I've been part of a human leadership team here in the town of Shrewsbury, and where we've been completing some workshops where Ruth Scala has been attending with me. And what we're trying to do is reduce the number of duplicate events that are happening within departments and really being able to support all of the departments in everything that we do. So we're only doing it one time, but doing it great that one time. Then the long-term vision, align the financial plan with the long-term vision for the senior center, ensuring that it remains a vibrant and essential resource for Shrewsbury aging population. I don't think that needs any more discussion than that. Advocacy and policy, advocate for continued funding. So I do get the emails that come from the state that ask for, a letter of recommendation or a letter of reference to support funding possibilities that are available to the COA department. And then engagement with state and local policymakers, making sure that we continue positive relationship with them, and then monitor any changes in the state policies and funding formulas. That was a long document, but is there any questions to this particular document?
Larry?
Holly, risk management, the last bullet point there, the formula grant is not a secure grant. Could you explain that?
Sure. So any grant, so the formula grant, although we have received it every single year, there's always a possibility that depending on an emergency, a state of emergency, those, like when we had COVID, there was an opportunity that we might not have received those funds at that time. So again, no grant should be expected every single year. So it's one of those things where if this grant wasn't there, what would we do for our programs and our funding and things like that? And that's where we would have to rely on a lot of the funding from the community donations that we receive, so our donation account.
Thank you.
So with no more questions on that one, can we move over to the formula grant financial categories, please? That one. So I'm not going to go for this word for word, but you can see on the bottom for the organized chart where, so again, talking about the 4 categories, right now, fiscal year 24 and 25, we have salaries included. Moving on to the 5-year plan, we have eliminated the salaries coming out of the formula grant and what I did was based on the statistics that we've received throughout, whether it's surveys or my senior center, breaking it down to where the formula grant would be expended. And of course, this could change. So like, for instance, transportation, one of the reasons why you can see the big jump in the 5-year plan is because we may or may not need a brand new vehicle within the next 5 years. So those are including those. Those percentages obviously will change year to year, but going forward next year, the way that you'll see the financial spreadsheet, it will be broken down into those 4 categories. And so we could see exactly where we're expensing from for the fiscal years following FY26. Are there any questions for this chart?
Under transportation, so the replacement vehicle that we would fund would be the town-owned, the white vehicles,
Yes.
not the WRTA blue vehicles.
Correct.
Holly, I have a question on programs. There appears to be quite a fluctuation there. The percentage in 24 versus the future. Is that because we're going to have a drop in programming, or is it going to come from some other source?
So so what we're planning on doing is, so Casey and I have been spending an extreme amount of time coming up with new programs each month. And what our focus is going to be is instead of doing smaller programs, I don't even have an example.
Such as, yeah.
Yeah, so,
When we did the tea etiquette.
Yeah.
And, Women's History Month might not necessarily be an annual thing that we do. We were trying to do something kind of special every month last year.
right.
It just was,
So what's happening is, you know, those one-off events versus the big ones that are making the impact. So like the emergency preparedness event or the veterans luncheon, those kind of impactful ones are the ones that we really want to spend a lot of our extra time on, so we can really make sure that we're giving those all of our attention. And then if we have an opportunity to do some filler events, we certainly will. So that's why you see the little bit of a decrease moving forward.
I have a question.
You know,
Do we have any way of tracking who all are our subscribers, say for the meals, for the outreach program in the, like we do the fuel assistance and all? Like, is there, like how in a database you can put, okay, this resident consumed this service or this person consumed this service, and in overall I have these many people who have consumed this? Since we are saying like we have around 9,000 seniors here. So in total, these many seniors have consumed our services. Do we have some kind of a system where we say, okay, 4,000 have not reached out? The thing I'm saying is because formula grant is given for per senior, $15. So you're expecting that every senior is getting some kind of benefit or something. That's the goal when they assign $15 per senior. But do we have any way of evaluating, like who are the subscribers for various and who are not?
Yep, so, and we can include those next month in a different kind of graph for Renee's services that she does. So we have the numbers for everybody that Renee meets with, whether it's food pantry, fuel application, Shine, we have all of those numbers. As far as people that don't subscribe, I get asked this question a lot. How are you going to reach everybody to let them know? This is the thing. We're not. People eventually, when they need us, will find us. That's kind of the way it happens, right? So when people need Shine counseling, they don't need Shine counseling at 50, they need it at 60, 65 and moving, which means that's when they're going to start finding those resources that are available to them that can help them through those things. You know what I'm saying? So we have the numbers that come through the senior center. Those are the numbers that we can report to you.
Yeah, no, I was just, because my thinking was that if we know specific like individuals who subscribe to them, we can find our problem areas also and show. But if we don't have any kind of that kind of consolidated reporting, we would never know how, like, where the fault is, what we need to do better.
So when Renee meets with somebody for the food pantry, that conversation doesn't just stop at the food pantry. She also lets them know what other opportunities are available to these people to have a better quality of life, and that could be whether it's joining SMOC, fuel assistance, all of those things. So I do agree that there's no way to inform everybody about those, but the people that come across Renee's table, or people that come across like Casey and I's, we definitely take that opportunity to let them know that there are other resources available to them, whatever it might be. Because sometimes we figure if somebody's coming in to utilize the food pantry, there's probably other things that we can help them benefit from, you know, if that's
Yeah.
what you're...
I was thinking, like, say, when a corporation earns profit, it gives back the dividends to, like, it shares with all the employees. So if the formula grant is coming for every senior and there is money, then those who are not subscribing, so here's your part that we received. This is like some kind of a gesture from senior center to say.
Oh, you mean to give them money?
Yeah.
No,
some
that's...
kind of a
doesn't
gift.
work
You
this
can
way.
say, like, okay, because everybody gets the fund comes for every senior.
Yes, and it's put together all together, so that way the services that we create out of the senior center are available to those should they need to use it. If they don't come to the senior center and they don't utilize the senior center, there's not much I could do about that. But a grant isn't to be divided into,
This is just a thought process that I thought like something to think about, like how to consolidate that information,
right.
maybe.
I think, I'm a
Our
little
budget's
confused.
about $35 per senior
Yeah.
per year, which there wouldn't be much left over to share, even if you could do that. But I've not heard of anyone doing that.
Right, well, if you look at the fact that we're doing the 2020 census, and that's where the formula grant is coming, and we're getting $14 right now for every senior, we're actually below the money that we get from the state because our census is up. So, we're actually, and I have nothing to do with EOEA and how they, like, what year they're going to take the census from. For a while, it was the 2000 census. So it is going up, but right now, we don't even have the $14 for every senior that's in town.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, any other questions? A
So,
lot of data, but
yep. So Casey, if you can go back to that other one that shows the 5-year projection, and I'll just give you an opportunity to take a look at this, but you can see it started with the FY24, and then how FY25 has worked. And then the blue column shows how our 5-year projection will look over the 26, 27, and all the way up to 30. And you can see on, let me see what line it is. I believe that the transportation, you could see that, I'm guessing that in fiscal year, where are we? There should be
Vehicle purchase.
a vehicle purchase, yep. Thank you, on the bottom. So for fiscal year 28, putting aside the 40,000, why did I pick fiscal year 28? Well, hopefully we are in the process of acquiring one of the COA vehicles that we should have, hopefully by the end of this month, if not sometime in November. And we can acquire, so the way that we can acquire vehicles is if it meets its useful life through the Mass DOT. And useful life is the vehicle is 5 years old or has reached 150,000 miles. Most of those vehicles don't reach 150,000 miles when they're under the federal direction. That's why we're acquiring the other one. But projecting out, those aren't new vehicles, the ones that we have now. So I'm just alerting everybody that the possibility is there that we would have to utilize formula grant funds in one of the coming years. That's probably one of the biggest changes for the projection.
Yeah.
So with hearing no others, I think now is, since I've been talking for quite a while, I don't think I have another, oh, actually, you know what? Can we scroll and go to the financial spreadsheet, please, Casey?
Is it before or after?
So this is the link
The
that
link?
that you
Okay.
all have.
Yeah.
So Casey's gonna put it up there. And Casey, I'm just gonna go tab through tab. I'm not gonna go through everything, but I just want to make people alert. So here is the information on the front page and what our operating accounts are. If you can go to the FY25 budget, please. So the FY25 budget is broken down into all of our accounts. And basically what I've done is I start with the general fund because the town helps us coordinate and appropriate and allocate the money for the general fund with different line items. So I try to keep those line items the same across every single account. So that would be like personnel services, could be supplies and things like that. So then you could see, so since we're talking about the formula grant right now, but if you scroll all the way down to the very bottom of that spreadsheet, please, Casey, you can see where the projection for the totals are for the general account and the formula grant.
I'm sorry, which tab are you on?
We're on the first one, the FY25.
FY25.
Yep.
But on that spreadsheet, are you on information that?
We're at the very bottom for expected expense totals.
The FY25 budget.
That's showing us
I got
the
that.
expected expense totals.
Yep.
Where are the expected revenue totals for each of those funds?
So there are no expected revenue. So the revenue for the general fund is what it is. So we don't take any money into the general fund unless we have a grant that we're being reimbursed for something for. For instance, for FY '25, I'm gonna be taking a portion of Cynthia's salary and putting that into a grant where we're gonna be refunded some of her salary, but that's gonna go right back into the general account. So we won't actually see that money. We won't be able to use that money, but we're giving it back to the town. Same thing with formula grant. We don't have any revenues coming into the formula grant. We might get reimbursements, but we don't have revenues. So you could see in the operating expense total for the formula grant, it is what it is. It's $120,000 with $946,000. Now the rollover above, that's the one I want to talk to you about today. So one of the reasons why we didn't share the Munis spreadsheets was because we noticed a discrepancy when we were working with accounting from the year-to-date rollovers, and Casey and I were struggling with why we were rolling over so much money from the formula grant when in our spreadsheet it showed 6,000. Well, so what Casey did some digging in Munis, and what we found was, so some of the reimbursements that we got from some of the grants last year were for Pat and Donna's salary. So what happened was we expended those salaries, but then we were refunded 50% of that. And when it went back and was deposited into our formula grant, Casey and I were not alerted to when it came back. So it was hard to really kind of find it within those Munis spreadsheets. So it wasn't until we were like, we need to sit down and figure this out, and then Casey, and then you also found some other expenses.
Yes, so because we got those reimbursements and those reimbursements were put into a specific account, there was a period of time where we did utilize that other account, not the formula grant, for Pat and Donna's salaries. So that accounted for about $11,000. And then we also had other grant reimbursements, other deposits that were not accounted for on the spreadsheet. So that accounted for about another $8,000. And then there was some duplication. So there were a couple of expenses that actually happened in FY25, not FY24. So that was another few $1,000s. So we got it to within $3,000 to $4,000 discrepancy instead of $25,000 discrepancy. So we much better understand where all that money is coming from. So that is an accurate number of the rollover amount.
Right, and one of the things that also happened was, so we received the $20,000 grant and the $4,000 grant from MCOA for the food pantry and the memory cafe. And unfortunately, we were supposed to be reimbursed in FY24, and we only just received those reimbursements a couple of weeks ago. So that wasn't something that we actually added into our spreadsheets because we didn't physically have that money yet. So that was the other thing, is like we didn't want to add something in that hadn't been refunded. So that's where the difference, when I sent that email the other day, that's where the difference came from as far as the rollover amount. So now we have a better understanding moving forward what we can expense this year. Now, again, moving forward after this fiscal year, we won't have the salaries that come out of the formula grant. So when we do a rollover, except for the grants, we'll have a better knowledge of what our actually ending balance will be.
So I'm trying to sort through the math. I'm not so sure I understand. So the 19,220, is it total of all the expenses in that column?
So it's in
It
that.
doesn't really come up to 19, unless my math is
So,
right.
so that column right there does not include salaries. So salaries makes up a giant chunk of the COA department's general fund operation. So that's not included there. So our COA department as a whole for expected expense totals, and actually those numbers,
It's expected to be a total of about 400,000?
so we're actually around 350,000, but what happened was we moved some salaries around. So last year, the van drivers were being paid out of the revolving account. This year, they're being paid out of the general fund. So that contributes to why the expenses at the bottom is a little bit more than it has been in the past years.
And the column that you just covered, the formula grant, I'm still not sure I understand. You said the rollover here states about 37,000. However, is this the actually number? I was still not sure about the number.
No, so the number now, so it's not added there, but so take that 120 and add the 37, and that's what we have for FY '25.
So it's not 122 as it's stated in here, whatever it
So the-
says. What's the 122
Well,
then?
one's revenue and one's expense.
Yeah, I don't,
So the 122, I think, is the add up of what we have budgeted to use up in the higher up rows.
Okay,
And then the 120 and the 37,550, that's what we actually have.
to use.
Yes, that's
Okay.
money that we have to use.
So that means you're gonna be positive.
yes.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
Was your primary source of funds in the general fund the town monies?
The general fund is the town monies.
And do they not give you a budget at the beginning?
Yes.
this,
Yes, so the operating expense totals, the expected expense totals, that's what we get in the beginning of the year.
That's the budgeted amount.
But do
right?
they give you a budget to start with that you can work
That-
against for the year?
That is the budget. So you break that budget down, you take that amount and you break it down to all of the line items that you see up at the top. So if you scroll, or Casey, if you can just scroll up, so you can see supplies is there. So that's part of the general fund budget. Then you keep going up, right? And it comes to more of the line items. So we have training and conferences, dues and memberships, car mileage.
Now, those are budget numbers, correct?
These are all budget, these are what this is what the town
Okay,
voted
your
for.
Budgeted expenses,
Yeah.
okay. So the 399 is the town budgeted revenue?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand. And then does any grant of money change that in general fund or no?
Nothing changed. The only thing that changes the general fund is if I apply for a grant, as I mentioned before. So in this year, the grant that I applied for from Mass DOT will be reimbursing us some of Pat and Donna's salary, which will go back to the formula grant, and then it will reimburse us some of Cynthia's salary for the latter part of this fiscal year. So that money will end up going back, but again, we won't have that to use. That will be just something that goes right back to the reserve fund for the general fund. So, Casey, I don't know, can you go screen to, or tab to tab, just so we can like look at where the totals are, please? So right now, Casey's on the general purchase of services for the general fund. So you can see at the top of the line what we have expended so far. And then Casey, if you just want to keep moving. Again, the general supplies. So let me explain to you what these sheets are. So the FY '25 budget sheet, Casey, can you go back to that for a minute and show me the highlight? So see everything in red over on the left? Those are line items, and that is, those amounts, I can't spend over those amounts for those particular line items. So hospital and medical, we get $660, we can't go over that. So Casey, if you go back to the general supplies, so you can see at the very top, we start with $3,000, that's what the general fund is giving us, and we keep an idea, so every time we get an invoice or anything like that that has anything to do with the supplies of the general fund operating expenses, we come to this spreadsheet and we take it out, because as we mentioned before, the spreadsheet is real time, whereas Munis is about 2 weeks behind, or a week and a half behind, I should say. Okay, so Casey, can you go to the general other charges? So up here, more operating expenses. So you can see over at the side, it says car allowance and dues memberships. Those are the amounts that the general fund is in there, and we can't go over the green amount. So every time Casey puts in an invoice, she has to put that invoice into Munis that says, okay, this is car allowance, and it comes out of, each one has its own number. You can see where it says car allowance, actually, it's on the other side.
Which tab is it?
So you
other
see
words,
you see at the very top left-hand corner, under B, there's a number right there. So every time Casey takes any money out of this operating expense, she utilizes that number right there when she puts it into Munis. And that's how we keep real time for what these charges are to the side. So car allowance, this one's car allowance, dues and memberships, and training and conferences. So just to keep going, Casey will go to the formula grant. So the formula grant, you can see the starting balance was at $120,946,000, and where we've done our expenses and deposits so far.
And I just want to clarify for the expenses for this one. So we have our budgeted for our special programs. This is what we budgeted. We haven't actually spent this much yet. It's just what we have budgeted for the special programs, and we have a specific tab for those ones.
So Casey's referring to the yellow,
Yep.
uh,
Line 12.
line 12.
Uh-huh.
So we look ahead at our fiscal year and what programs we're planning to put on, and we take into consideration what did that program cost us last year. We give it a little bit of a bump of inflation costs, and so we're projecting for just our programs about $45,000 for this year. Then you can also see Memory Cafe. We give them $4,000 each year, which helps support their lunches that they have, their entertainment that they have, and any other supplies that they may need. And then moving on to the gift account, the same thing. So the gift account, again, it comes in on community donations, current balance being $20,436.07. And then I believe there's a couple more. Then there's the revolving account. And again, the revolving account is the maintenance of our 2 COA vans, anything that requires from there.
Holly, in each of these funds, if you under-expend, you are able to do a carryover?
Yes. So the only,
Town and the state allow that?
so the only account that we don't do a carryover is the general fund. Okay. So I know that was a lot of numbers thrown at you. So the spreadsheet for Casey and I is very important to us because it really, like I said, shows how much money we have. And Casey probably spends between invoicing and deposits 8 to 10 hours
Yeah.
doing this. So it takes a long time. So I'm not hearing any more questions. I'm going to pass it over to Casey to kind of go over the graphs of the My Senior Center.
I can stop sharing for a second. Alright. So we'll start with the daily attendance. So let me reshare. Alright. So as you can see, our daily attendance has steadily grown over the last few years. So the orange line is for the year 2022. So this is actually calendar year, not fiscal year. The blue line is calendar year 2023. And in 2024 already you can see January, February, March, we had a pretty significant jump even from last year. We're still holding a little bit above. June was pretty similar to more recent years. I think that I need to, to 2023. And then we continue to hold steady above our previous years. So we're definitely getting much more attendance, or at least much more documented attendance. So people are using the scan cards a lot more. And we have also been advertising our events a lot more efficiently through news flashes. And now we have the hoop board as well, and we've gotten a lot more attention and a lot more attendance through those opportunities as well. Any questions on the daily attendance graph? Okay. sharing, and then we get to the next one. So this graph shows in-town versus out-of-town residents, who's visiting us. So out of town, I believe this was just for September, we had 57 out-of-town visitors and 296 were in-town visitors. So that's just kind of seeing who's coming to the senior center.
How are you able to document that?
We have their town in my senior center, so when they scan in, it'll tell us, you know, if they're in or out of town.
It's one of the questions on the forms.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, their address is one of the questions on the form, so.
So they scan in using a My
There.
Senior Center card from their home?
Yeah,
Town?
either they've gotten it from us or they've gotten it from another senior center. We can connect all of those just using the same thing, so they can use one scan card for
Okay.
all of the senior centers.
If they have My Senior Center.
Yep.
So do we know how many people with our My Senior Center cards go somewhere else?
We could probably get that report from everybody, from the other senior centers.
Yeah, but it would have to be from, we would have to ask for it from them, because we can only pull what people coming here give us. We can't see what other senior center attendance is. So we would have to get that information from the other directors.
Do you have any sense of how many people that come into the senior center remember to do that?
It's a lot more now.
Well, we've been pushing it a lot with contests, prizes, like everything.
Yeah.
And once we explain to, especially the facilitators of these programs, like if your people don't sign in, there's a chance that we're going to have to eliminate the program, and nobody wants that. So I think people are really, really good now. As a matter of fact, they stop us and tell us if the kiosk isn't working and things like that. So it's really not, it was a problem, it's really not a problem anymore.
Are Friends events also there to be scanned?
Yes.
Ooh, and I missed a few.
Yep. So Friends events literally say Friends event. So it doesn't say what the title is, it just says Friends. So you would just hit the Friends event.
All those people at the luncheon should
Yeah.
have scanned.
Yeah.
All right. And then the next one will go to, I have to reshare every single time. We'll do the event check-in since we're kind of talking about that. So we have pared down the general categories of each of the events. It used to be much more complex. So now we have like our general programs. So those are like the weekly programs that we have, fitness classes, art classes, things like that. So we had 663 check-ins in the month of September for that. Our outreach programs are things that Renee puts on, so a lot of those insurance informational sessions, things like that. We had 193 attendees for that in September. And then nutrition, so that's our congregate dining and our Tuesday night suppers. We had 140 visitors for that in September.
Is there a question for that?
No, it's very interesting. I'm missing these graphs.
Oh.
I have everything but these graphs.
Oh.
It's okay.
And then, let's see. I think the last one for my senior center.
Excuse me,
Yes.
while you're looking for that. That last graph, the check-ins, that accounts for everybody coming to the senior center except those who forget to check in.
Correct.
Swipe in.
Correct.
So
So
that-
that's also duplication. So if somebody comes to multiple events in a week or whatever, it's still going to count all of them. So it's really a count of all of the check-ins for certain programs. So it's not 600 whatever
People.
individual people. It's actual check-ins.
Okay.
All right. And then the last, my senior center graph is just on gender. So, yep, that's the wrong one that I'm looking at. So we have a lot more women who come in rather than men. I've noticed, increased a little bit as the months have gone on, even just this year.
I'm sorry, what is increased?
the number of men that have been coming to the senior center. The men's club in particular is growing. They have more people, I feel like, every week. So we're getting a lot more men folk in. So that's been good. And then we just have our hoop board. So I actually need to go in there. You just bear with me one moment. Apologies. That's not what I wanted.
If you want, you can just speak to them because we are running out of time and I do have a couple of things that I need to get through.
Yep, so basically we're just getting, we have a lot more, we're looking at the engagement or graph kiosk versus the app. We get a lot more people engaging via the app. So that's on their phones rather than the kiosk at the senior center. So we are looking to kind of move that around and get more engagement actually at the senior center for the kiosk.
I believe this morning I looked, I believe we have 63 people using the app right now.
Yeah, and people are more interested in looking at the special events and programs now, and the schedule. Those were the most engagement.
And the cancellations.
Yep, and the cancellations. Yep. So that's pretty much that.
Okay, so moving forward, if I can. So transportation outreach, so again, Cynthia Willis, our transportation coordinator, has been doing amazing outreach for the housing authorities. Next week, she's hosting a bingo. I believe the next month, she's doing I think it's a bingo and dinner. And then next month, she's also doing a movie. So she's really amping up our presence over at those different complexes. And she is also starting to work with a couple of members in different 55 and over communities that we're trying to also enhance our presence. And one of the reasons why we're targeting the 55 and over communities is we want to really, I'm all about thinking ahead. So to Manu's comment earlier is to making sure people understand where we are, what we offer. The best marketing for us a lot of the time is the newsletter and word of mouth. So that's where our transportation is. As I mentioned also before, we are expecting to get the title of one of the COA vans anytime now, which would be nice because that means we will have our own direction of which way we want to use that one particular vehicle, which means anytime out of hours, we can also let different departments use it. So it's going to be really nice to have our own opportunities for that vehicle. Moving down to C, I'm actually going to just put this over to Alex, the COA board policies. Alex and I, we meet monthly, and we thought it would be a good time to share those policies with all of the board members once again, and to allow any opportunity for questions if there are any. Did you want to?
So there was a subcommittee of the board that developed these last year, was it? I guess it was. Maybe the
Or
year
2 years,
before.
yeah.
And so we thought it would be useful to share it with the new members and refresh the memories of people like myself. And we'll put it on the agenda next month so that in case you have any questions about it.
You're gonna send us the policies you want us to look at, or I'm trying to understand what?
It,
That's the thing I didn't
it
understand.
should be in your board package somewhere, or it's in the,
It's in this, it's
In the email, yeah.
Really?
Yep, so it should have been, it's in your email that you would have received for October agenda. It also is on the Google Drive under COA board information that I also shared the link. So it's always there. We just wanted to, since it is a new fiscal year, we wanted to just share the policies again.
yeah, I won't go through it. It's pretty straightforward.
You're talking
It's
about
just
this?
That's right,
Okay.
policies and procedures, right.
Just moving ahead, so one of the things I did want to add under C, there's two things actually. So I did just the other day complete the capital furniture order. So we'll be getting, in the next 5 weeks or so, we're going to be getting brand new furniture throughout the senior center. So I'm very excited about that. That was the capital we were awarded last year for this year, for $76,000. After sitting down with this vendor, we came up actually below the amount. I believe we're just around $68,000, so the rest of that money will end up going back to the town. So what does that consist of? It consists of 125 brand-new chairs, with 112 of them having arms, the remaining of them having no arms to help for, people of all statures. And we are also getting 20 new round event tables, as well as 4 new double rectangular 6-foot tables and new lobby tables and chairs. So we're very, very excited about that. The other thing that's exciting that's happening along with that is we are finally getting new carpet at the senior center. Hopefully that carpet will be in either the end of November or the beginning of December. So I'm very excited that the senior center is taking an aesthetic turn to a more positive look. I can't even tell you, I'm gonna sleep there.
And dementia-friendly.
And dementia-friendly, yes. So the carpets that we chose are not with designs. They are a light color. And the furniture themselves, we decided to go with a darker tone on the top of the tables so they can be more easily seen. So I look forward to having you guys all over for a tour when all of that is in.
So all the carpeting will be replaced.
All of the carpeting except for the office. The office, we're going to wait because there's so much stuff in there that it really needs to kind of be done on its own time. Did you
So-
have a question?
Yeah, Holly, the old furniture, what's happening with that?
So I believe the way the town does it is they either offer it to other departments if they want it, or they auction it. And then all of those funds go back into the town revenue.
Yeah, they have rules for disposal.
Yep. Okay, keep going. So at the end of this month, we have the emergency preparedness event on Tuesday, October 29th. So that originated from a $4,000 grant from MCOA, and the senior center has kicked in more funds for that, as well as other local partners and departments also submitting items for that. We have requested 400 items of each thing, and I believe there's about 20 items or so. The Friends of the Shrewsbury Senior Center made a donation, I believe the police department, the list goes on. It's been great. So what we are looking for now is still volunteers to help put the kits together. We have 2 days of putting the kits together, and then the day of the event, helping people navigate and create their kits when they come. Any leftover kits that we have will either be delivered to Meals on Wheels clients or Housing Authority residents. And then anything left over after that, if it allows, would be for people who have multiple people in their family, that they could come back and get an additional kit. The Interage Alliance and the Yahoo engagement, I'm going to give this over to Casey for an update.
Yep, so Interage Alliance, that is our board of youth volunteers. They're all high school students. They are having an event coming up on October 15th at 4 p.m. They are showing the movie Beetlejuice, and they're also treating it as a food drive. So your ticket to join in is at least one item to donate to the food drive. They will be doing a drawing, so as many items as you bring is how many tickets you will get for a drawing for a fun little Halloween themed basket. There'll be some candy, blankets, some fall kind of stuff. So that's exciting. There will be sandwiches and chips provided during that as well, so people can have a little bit of food while they watch the movie, and then the drawing will be after the movie. But we are trying to get them to do a lot of community outreach and a lot of events outside of the senior center to get a bit more of a broader reach. And then the Yahoo program is our yard cleanup. So that is starting, it's in the works right now. We have about 25 high school student volunteers, as well as about 8 adult chaperones. So we are having an informational session for those who are signed up and registered next week. We have two Yahoo managers, Theo and Patrick, have been very engaged and helpful in getting this going. They're really taking the lead on this. They came and helped us organize the Yahoo shed, so we have rakes and bags for leaves and gloves and tarps and all that fun stuff for them to use on the dates that they go and help our seniors in cleaning up their yards. So there will be more info for those that are involved and signed up coming. We are closed for seniors who want their yards cleaned up for the fall, but people can certainly still call and we'll register them for the spring. We're keeping it relatively small right now because we want to make sure that we're successful and we can reach everybody and get everybody that's registered what they need. I think that's it.
Any questions on that program?
So the fall filled up already,
Yeah.
booked out?
How many seniors?
So we have 12 senior homes that we'll be working on. Since we have a limited number of chaperones and we have to have at least 2 for each group, we kept it pretty small so that we can have 3 or 4 groups go on the first couple of Saturdays, and then we're going to have larger groups go to a couple of homes that get a lot of leaves. We've gotten reports that they fill up about 50 plus bags for leaves each year. So we figure more hands on deck for those homes would be good.
Are you tracking how many people call in to ask for the service and are getting turned away?
So I've been putting them on for the spring cleanup. I think there's been 2 or 3 so far. So not a huge volume, but we've definitely signed them up for the spring.
And do you know how they found out? Through the newsletter?
Newsletter, news flashes, potentially neighbors, all that stuff.
Very exciting. Yes. And to finish off, we're at nutrition. So Renee spoke a lot about the nutrition, and one of my goals to assist her is to make sure we have consistent food drives and to get the word out. One of the things that we're going to be doing for the winter months, starting in November, probably leading up until February, is trying to get businesses or community families involved in filling boxes. And in return for them filling certain size boxes, the senior center, the COA department will market and advertise those businesses. So if they fill 1 box, they can have a month free in our newsletter. If they fill 2 boxes, they can have 2 months, and so forth and so on. And anytime that we market a business, it goes into our newsletter, it will go on our hoop board, it's on our website, it goes into news flashes, and it's shared throughout. So it really is a good opportunity for businesses to be seen, but we'll also do special recognition for families that would fill boxes for us also. So we're doing that. In addition to that, next week, I believe it's next week, Renee and I are meeting with Select Board member Michelle Conlon to do a podcast right out of our food pantry so we can spread more awareness that way. And we are also for December, for the holidays, we're doing Seniors Still Believe, and we'll be collecting large print activity books and more additional food to fill the food pantry with the quote, with the topic being keeping active minds and keeping food in the homes. So those are the things that we have moving forward for the nutrition program, as well as looking into the possibility of additional ARPA funds that could possibly help us out. So I'm trying to put a budget and a timeline in place with Renee and then present that to the town managers and the select board.
Is there a list of most desired items available for donations for food pantry?
So a lot of the things that go very quickly are the things that don't need to be cooked. So we're finding that a lot of people, a lot of seniors, it's more of a convenience that they're looking for when they come into the food pantry. So they're looking to have some of like our heart to home item meals, our frozen meals, so they can take those, or peanut butter. We have some tuna fish and pastas. So Renee has created an Amazon wish list for people if they don't have time to actually come to the senior center or donate anything. You can contact Renee, and she'll give you a link to our Amazon wish list page that shows the items that she is seeking to keep it replenished for the registrants that come in. Sorry, my mouth is getting dry.
How does the Amazon wish list work?
So you can just actually go to the Amazon wish list, purchase the items, and it gets shipped right to the senior center. So that's kind of the nature of the wish list. So the items that are on there, you can just put however many you want to purchase and donate, and it'll just ship right to our door.
So if I click and go on the Amazon app, I just search on.
We have a
wish
link.
list?
Yep, we have a link, and Renee has a link that we can share. Typically, we use the QR code in the newsletter, so you can
Okay.
scan it that way, and then that will take you right to the link so you can purchase those items.
It's like a wedding list.
Pardon?
Like you go to
Yes,
Amazon,
exactly.
for your wedding
Yep,
list.
exactly, like a wedding registry.
Yep.
Exactly, it's exactly like that.
Well, I was just thinking about items if a group wanted to fill a box.
Mhm.
What items would be most?
Oh, okay, so thank you, Ruth. So we do collect non-perishables, so obviously anything in cans, grains, or anything like that. We are taking produce. We can take those, we can take frozen items, because we have a refrigerator, we have the freezer. We are also taking hygiene items, so we have things like toilet paper, paper towels, toothpaste, toothbrushes. We have some soap and things like that. We haven't started collecting cleaning items or anything like that. We really want to focus on being able to, again, the quality of life for the seniors, and making sure that there's plenty of food within the pantry, since it is, it's not that big. So we want to make sure that we have the essentials.
Okay,
And
anything else?
I know. Nope.
Any new business, old business? Okay, motion to adjourn. Next meeting is Wednesday, November 13th. And if for some reason you can't make it, if you can, let Holly know. Make sure we have a quorum.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn. No?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Louise.
Thank you.